This is today's first ever No BS Nutrition podcast. I'm gonna give a quick summary of why I want to do this. Well, I like the podcast, and now today's world we can learn a lot of information from good podcasts like My Pump, Mark Spell, Think Body Big, etc. And podcast is a great way to just hear like audio versions, like for example Joe Rogan or etc., and learn from them. And today I'm going to be talking about opinions, nutrition, and training. What I think about the opinions, I'm going to go in training, nutrition, and opinions first. That's really it, but I'm going to get started. So here's my little script I'm going to read off. So nutrition, what to eat. Typically in the nutrition space we have different diets like keto, paleo, or etc. These diets can help you go further to your journey, like keto. Keto is a great version because it only focuses on meat and it's simple. You only eat certain types of meat and you don't overeat on processed foods, right? Paleo, you eat certain types of nuts, fruits, vegetables. You eat certain types and it's still whole foods. And with these diets, you have to keep in mind the main factor is just more meat, more whole foods. So am I still in a wrong by eating a whole foods diet in 4 major food groups? Am I wrong to eat fish, meat, carbs, and dairy in one day just because? I don't think so. Honestly, you should eat whatever you want unless it's whole foods. If there's a little bit more milk, eat some milk. If it's a little bit more meat, eat some meat. You have to try and limit these processed foods because you can easily overconsume it. That's why these diets work so much. I don't like to call it fad diets because it does work. It's not a fad. It's not the diet necessarily itself, like keto didn't really help me. It's the food that helped me. So I just want you guys to keep in mind. Also, you do have to be careful of these low calorie, like these dense foods like nuts, peanut butter, avocados, etc. because it packs a lot of fat. And we know that fat for every 1 gram is 9 calories. So the calories can really stack up over time if you're not careful. So make sure you weigh it out or eat a small portion or do not snack on those hidden calories, I like to say, or like hidden oils, etc. So that's my little thing on nutrition. And it really, nutrition really comes down to what you prefer, honestly. If you're a picky eater, you're not going to eat that, eat something else. If you're allergic to fruits, you probably want to cut out fruits then. Just eat more vegetables. If you don't like vegetables and fruits, yeah, you might be a little vitamin deficient, but at least you eat more meat. And if your diet was a American typical diet before and you're eating more meat and getting healthier, you shouldn't give a crap. Especially if you're a higher body fat percentage, like let's say 23%, right? You just lost weight, you 23%, you know that's not the best percentage, right? If you're still eating whole foods and working out, you're still more healthier than the same 23% body fat person. So yeah, also keep that in mind. It's wherever you like, wherever you can stick to, and wherever you prefer. You don't have to restrict yourself to these diets thinking it's gonna work. No, just eat 4 major food groups if you like. Just eat whatever. Try to find your calories if you can. If you don't want to track, then don't track. I highly recommend to track just because you know where you're at, but you don't have to track. If tracking is literally stopping you from doing it, then just don't track. I'd rather you try to actually succeed to your journey. So just keep that in mind. The second one is protein. Protein is like the least consumed macro just because not a lot of people get it if they're eating all these processed food. If you're eating donuts, cupcakes, and like very fatty meat, because fun fact, fattier meat has lower in protein. About like 6 grams. 6 grams lower in protein, which you can add up quick. So if you're eating all that stuff and not eating enough protein, what do you think? You'll gain more body fat. You're not going to gain more muscle. You're not going to be stronger. You're not going to be healthier. And you're not going to recover. So if you're doing, like, let's say a good example, like a blue-collar worker, right? If you're a blue-collar worker working 24/7 and the only thing you're eating is sandwiches and cupcakes and gas station food, you really think you're going to be better? Like, no, you're not. So it's like this balancing act. You have to eat more protein. I would recommend, for crying out loud, because it's super easy and no one's going to do 0.8 grams per their body weight. Just eat 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, eat 200 grams of protein. If you eat a little bit less and you're still 200 pounds, let's say 170, that's still okay. The studies show it's like 0.6 to 0.8. The reason why we do say 1 gram, because it's easier to tell our clients, say, hey, focus on that. And typically they eat less. So if they eat less, at least you overestimate it, so they eat almost the close amount they should be eating. So it's not the end of the world. And they can recover faster, be healthier, etc. That's why protein is the best. Also, fun fact, oh, my pencil. Fun fact, protein is the most satisfying macronutrient. Other than fats, I guess, in my opinion, I don't think fats is that satisfying. I think carbs are, depending on what type of carbs you're eating. But protein, the reason why it's the most satisfying nutrient, it can prevent you to actually eat less processed foods. So, like cupcakes, cakes, candy bars, everything you can imagine, it makes you less eat that. Of course, if you're not eating enough protein, you only eat 100 grams and you weigh like 200, then you might not be that satisfied, unless that's the first time you're ever eating 100 grams of protein. So it's going to be different for each person, of course. So yeah, keep that in mind. And also, protein helps with fat loss. It builds more muscle. If you have more muscle in your frame, it helps lower fat loss. Yeah, keep that in mind. If you're not eating protein, then how do you expect to lose weight? How do you expect to gain a little bit of muscle? If you're not trying to gain muscle or be super bulky, I guess, even though that's literally impossible, then you're just going to be actually unhealthier if you lose all that weight without eating protein. You're just going to be smaller and fatter than you were before. Just now smaller. And not even look as good as you thought you're going to be. You might not even have abs. Crazy part, right? Okay, next one. Tips for bulking and cutting. So I'm going to give like 2 things for bulking and 2 things for cutting. Cutting. I highly recommend, if you're going to cut, have things in the house that you have to actually sip on. Okay, I know Diet Coke, everyone likes to hate on it, like, oh my god, it has aspartame, oh my god, it can cause cancer. The study now shows it costs like 20 years. It takes like 20 years drinking like a crap ton of diet soda. It doesn't cause cancer. And also, I highly recommend it. If diet soda actually helps you to push your cravings, that would be great. I mean the caffeine version, of course. Or like having a protein bar, or having something that's sweet like fruits, except something high volume. That can work too. I'm just thinking about any other thing. High volume stuff like vegetables, strawberries, something sweet. Watermelon is the best. Peaches. Something sweet in the house that's low calorie or zero will help you to your fat loss journey, because you're not going to binge on these processed food. The whole point of fat loss is volume. If you don't have volume, you can have intensity, but usually intensity don't work because the person will binge afterwards. It's too much. The body wants to hold a lot of fat to make sure in case of a famine or a plague. So you have to keep that in mind. The second tip is eat actually the meals that you can eat. So I would highly suggest to spread out your meals. If you like fasting and you're used to it, let's say you only eat 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, right? And if you're busy during that time, of course. If you're used to fasting and you can do it, I said do it. You save your calories, you be more fuller during dinner time. I don't believe in the fact that you have to eat a certain time for digestive. Unless you don't have digestive problems, eat at dinner time. It doesn't matter. Eat a lot of food at dinner. Not too much, but eat enough that you're satisfied with. If you're not used to fasting, eat about 4 meals a day. 3 meals will probably be a little harder for some people because the protein ratio, they're probably not used to it. So you might want to put 4 meals or put 3 meals in a snack. Try and be creative with it. Don't just limit yourself to one thing. Okay? Now, bulking. Bulking is very easy. Most hard gainers literally don't track their calories because they say they're eating a lot. Maybe one day they eat like, let's say 4,000 calories, but the other days they eat 15, 2,000, 2,500, maybe 3,000 one day, and then they'd be in a deficit. So you have to keep in mind, if you're really a hard gainer, I want you to track. I want you to actually track, because if you're looking at me saying, Drake, I ate 7,000 calories, I'm gonna call bullshit. And you're skinny. Like, I mean like 144, height is 6 feet, or you're like 170, 6 feet. It doesn't matter. You're skinny. Especially if you don't work out too. So you're skinny. Maybe skinny fat too. I don't know. A lot of people have body dysmorphia, so I don't know. And I just want to say that if you're bulking, don't. Usually people underestimate how many calories you're eating, so just eat more. Just that simple. Eat more. If you're full, sometimes you eat a little bit more. It doesn't mean you're eating enough. Your body is trying to be in the set point that you're most comfortable with. So if you're 144 naturally, you will be 144. If you eat a lot in a certain point, your body will try to regulate that by maybe having a speedy metabolism, maybe being active more, etc. Trying to burn off those extra calories throughout the week. So you have to keep up consistently eating more. Honestly, probably for some people I would say track, just because they're not going to consistently eat more. They're too scared, or I'm getting so much fat. You're not gonna gain so much fat if you're not gonna eat like an asshole. If you're not gonna eat like an asshole and eat like a lot of processed food, you actually will gain muscle if you're training and your sleep is in a good point. Also, other than that, eat low calorie dense food. So same thing with the nutrition, like I said, be careful with the nuts and peanut butter. This could be good for bulking. Use oil, use peanut butter, use nuts, use some processed food. Oh my god. Yes, crazy, but don't overconsume on processed food. If you're the type of person that can easily overconsume on processed food and get addicted on it, you're not the one for this. But if you're the type of person who can eat a little bit and be okay, go ahead, do it. It's easier calories. Simple. That's when you should use processed food. And of course, maintenance calories if you want like a little sweet treat, etc. So that's my little tip for bulking. Now we could go into training. So RPE versus percentages. Programming like this, especially let's just say for a beginner, is kind of out of the picture because a beginner won't really know the 1 rep max until they actually do the 1 rep max, which it could be months down the line if they had good training. Especially with RPE, reps, what is it called? Reps in preserve or something? I don't know. I forgot. A lot of people like to hate on it. I still hate on it, but it does have its point if you're more actually, what's the word? You're more actually into your body, you're actually more advanced in the training. If you're a beginner and you suck at the bench press, you don't know what your RPE, you could really tell everything is hard, everything, like, you're not too sure about it. So you really don't have a good function of your body. You don't know your body until you actually train it for a long time. I'm talking about 3 years, 4, 5, even 10. You don't know. So, what should I use? In my case, I would love for me and beginners in the future to use percentages. Just because, yes, 1 rep maxes are bad if you don't have good form. And I'm not talking about textbook good form, like straight parallel line. That is impossible. If you're doing a 1 rep max, it is impossible to have the best form immaculate. It is possible. Your form will break down slightly. If you're doing a deadlift and you have a slight bend in your back, that is okay. But if you're doing a deadlift and you have like a cat, that is not okay. So there's a complete difference of a 1 rep max. If you're training and actually take it seriously, try to make your form good before you do a 1 rep max, I say go in and do it, so you know the percentage up. You know the percentages you can do. So if I do 80%, or if I do 80% of something, I could do that for that many reps, whatever it says online. And that's what I would do. I would train for strength, and that's what I would do. RPE is different. If I'm training, if I'm training, and I feel like this is an REP of 8, then honestly, what happens if this is an REP of 8 but 10? It's kind of confusing, you know? And for a beginner, even for some advanced people, it is kind of confusing to RPE, especially if some days you can feel like shit. Just because before going to the gym you feel like shit, and that can actually affect your lift, you know. Also, it'll be different if you go into a powerlifting meet or something like that. Then yeah, you might want to use RPE. I'm not sure about that, but in my opinion, I just use percentages. That's what I like to use. And of course, if you're just starting from the gym, start going to the gym, just use weights. Use the 5 compound list. Okay. Hypertrophy versus strength. So this actually goes to programming RPE and percentages, but for a beginner, this is specific for a beginner. I will say, if they want to get strong, I will focus on first for a slight bit. I will focus on first hypertrophy. But I will only use the 5 compound lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, the ones that we all know and love. I will use that. I will use hypertrophy so they get the form down. So they have muscle memory. They can focus over and over on it. You can still do hypertrophy on a deadlift. People don't understand. You don't have to do a tap and go on a deadlift. You can do a dead stop, come back up for 8 reps. It is perfectly fine. It's actually safer if possible. I will let them do hypertrophy for about 2 months, maybe 1. Then we will get into strength build. Strength build is really great. It helps to promote muscle growth quicker. It helps to make more strength overall in a short period of time. Especially if you're more stressed, it can help to preserve strength. Strength is the number one thing we need in our lives. If we don't have strength, let's say you're 144 tall, you can easily get damaged. Or if you're obese, and you never really did a blue collar job, nothing heavy. That is mostly fat you're carrying. That is not muscle. That is fat. Like, I remember when I was 255, I wasn't strong. I was just fat. Like, I couldn't even pick up a 30-pound dumbbell. And yes, I was 13 years old, but still, it doesn't matter. I was 250. So, you have to keep in mind what will help suit you best. That's what I would do. I think strength is better than hypertrophy when you're starting because the person can see value in it. It's easy to actually start, and you can focus on it. You can easily stack it up over time. And you have to be careful with the form, of course, but that's why the hypertrophy is there. What do you prefer? Training is always what do you prefer, of course. If you're trying to do bodybuilding movements, do that. If you're trying to be an athlete, do that. If you're trying to be a powerlifter, I guess, do that. Or you're trying to do all in the buff, so you like to switch it up. So bodybuilding, powerlifting 5 weeks, bodybuilding for 5 weeks, maybe some performance for 2 weeks. If you want to be hybrid, do that. It's whatever can get you in the gym and do the most. Of course, if it gets to a certain point, let's say you're doing like cardio over cardio, you're a cardio junkie, you getting brain fog, you're not seeing strength and getting worse and worse over time. No, that is not okay. But if you're perfectly fine, mentally, physically, emotionally, etc., doing the thing you like, go ahead and do it. But that's only if you're perfectly fine. So it depends what gets you in the gym. Well, this is the last question. Opinions. So, Ozempic. It's a miracle drug, apparently. I heard about Ozempic a lot because it's actually gotten popular over 20 years. It's been out for 20 years. It actually was for diabetics at first. That's the funny part. But now people are realizing it can help with weight loss. The first thing I will say about Ozempic is, if you don't have healthy nutrition habits, if you don't have any discipline in your life with fitness, I won't use it. Just because I know what's going to happen. You're going to lose all that weight. You're going to get off. You're probably going to bench. You're going to gain some of it back. Then you have to use it again. And also you might have brain fog, etc., and headaches. All these negatives. Just to lose weight and gain back. And you don't have muscle. It's like, you don't have any discipline in fitness, you shouldn't be using it. If you have some discipline, enough, a year of consistent training, or 3 years, honestly 3 I would say, and hey, I am low calories, I am in low protein, I can stuff myself if I have to. Or I just want to try it to see how my client feels. Or I just want to lose some body fat, but I can eat the protein I have to eat. Then I would say go ahead and use it. But if you're the type of person if I get stuff on one thing, man, I can't eat anything else. I don't want to train today, because that can be the cause of it. Since you're low calories, you might not want to train. I don't want to do this or that. Then you're not the best candidate. Just losing weight is a total volume of mass. So when I lose weight, I lose water, glycogen, muscle, the formation of everything, and fat. Yeah, you lose fat, but the funny part is you might not even lose that fat you want. You might not lose the most fat. And if you do lose the most fat, you're still fatter because you just lost muscle. You're not eating enough protein. And yes, it helps you, especially in low doses. I heard that people in low doses get a bigger side effect, or people in small doses get barely to none. Then after that, what I would suggest, maybe if you're getting off, is taper it off, like any other drug. that's consistently used, you might want to taper, then just go to cold turkey. Going cold turkey for most drinks is never the option. Everyone should know that by now, honestly. But that's why I think, is it safe, is it bad? I don't think it's necessarily bad if you know how to use it, or you're guided under a nutrition coach, or yeah, a nutrition coach, trainer, etc. that knows what they're talking about. It will be bad if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have training styles, or you do have experience but you don't know what you're doing. So you have to be honest with yourself. It's an honest drug. You have to be honest with yourself to actually get the most benefits out of it. So that's why I'm going to end off today's video. I hope we have good discussions on the comments below. If you like to ask, just comment below what type of video ideas are, what things I should talk about next. How should I what should I do next, you know? I would highly recommend for exam pick and under nutrition advice on My Pump. They're great people. Adam, Sal, Stefano, and Justin and Doug. I highly recommend, or Starting Strength, Mark Bell, etc. They talk about all those things. Get more information. Always research your stuff before you just make a confirm opinion. Well, that's today's video. This is No BS Nutrition. Bye.